This is Government Unfiltered. I'm Dan Williams. This podcast is a reading of the December 22nd, 2022 final report from the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Chapter 8. Analysis of the Attack. 8.3. The Initial Attack. Within minutes of arriving at the Peace Circle, the Proud Boys and their associates launched the attack on the U.S. Capitol. The Circle is the site of the Peace Monument, a statue erected from 1877 to 1878 to commemorate naval deaths at sea during the Civil War, with two classically robed women, one woman representing grief, covering her face, and the other woman representing history. The woman standing in for history holds a tablet that reads, "They died that their country might live." The Peace Circle's geographical location is crucially important for understanding how the January 6th attack unfolded. It sits at the end of Pennsylvania Avenue, just in front of the U.S. Capitol. At the conclusion of his speech at the Ellipse, President Trump directed rally attendees to march down Pennsylvania Avenue to the U.S. Capitol. Their shortest natural path would lead them right to the Peace Circle and to the northwest side of the Capitol grounds, also known as the West Plaza. By the time rally-goers arrived, the Proud Boys and their allies had already removed the fencing that stood in the crowd's way. As a result, thousands of people streamed into the restricted Capitol grounds with relative ease. When the Proud Boys arrived back at the Peace Circle at 12:49 p.m., they still had about 200 to 300 members, and many other protesters had joined them. Shortly after arriving, the Proud Boys incited the crowd with antagonistic chants, such as 1776. Officer Carolyn Edwards, who was standing guard, explained to the Select Committee that the Proud Boys asked her and the other USCP officers if they could walk past the fencing and talk to the officers. "No," she replied. The Proud Boys and others immediately turned on Edwards and her fellow officers, referring to them as Nancy Pelosi's dogs, and shouting. At approximately 12:51 p.m., Quested captured a rioter named Ryan Samsel with his arm around Proud Boys leader Joe Biggs, who led the chants. Samsel subsequently claimed that Biggs encouraged him to push through the barricades, and, when Samsel hesitated to follow through, Biggs flashed a gun, questioned his manhood, and repeated his demand to move to the front and challenge the police. Biggs has contested Samsel's version of events. After speaking with Biggs, Samsel breached the outer fencing of the Peace Circle at 12:53 p.m. The first set of fencing at the Peace Circle was staged on 1st Street Northwest, with the second set of fencing not far behind. Once Samsel breached the outer fencing, USCP officers, including Officer Edwards, moved from their posts to meet Samsel and other rioters. In less than a minute, at 12:54 p.m., the rioters pushed USCP officers to the ground, removed the fencing, and quickly stormed east towards the U.S. Capitol building. Officer Edwards was thrown to the ground, causing her to hit her head on concrete steps. Two Proud Boys from New York, Dominic Pezzola and William Pepe, were among those leading the march to the next line of security barriers. Pepe, an employee of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority in upstate New York, took sick leave to travel to Washington for the January 6th events. Pepe dragged part of the fence away at the next security barrier, ensuring that USCP officers were left defenseless. The Proud Boys' actions were not spontaneous. Jeffrey Finley, a Proud Boys leader from West Virginia, later admitted there appeared to be a coordinated effort to pull the barricades apart. Proud Boy Jeremy Bertino admitted to similar facts when pleading guilty to seditious conspiracy, stating that he believed that the purpose of traveling to Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021 was to stop the certification of the Electoral College vote, and that the most leaders were willing to do whatever it would take including using force against police and others to achieve that objective. Based on discussions he and other Proud Boys leaders had in the lead-up to January 6th, he believed that storming the Capitol would achieve the group's goal of stopping Congress from certifying the Electoral College vote. Bertino understood that storming the Capitol or its grounds would be illegal and would require using force against police or other government officials. Parallel to the Peace Circle, at the Garfield Circle walkway located at the southeast corner of the Capitol grounds, rioters breached the fencing at 12:55 p.m. and began rushing the West Plaza, where they would converge with others from the Peace Circle. By 12:58 p.m., the crowd filled the lower West Plaza of the Capitol just below the inauguration stage that had been built for the ceremony scheduled 2 weeks later. After the initial breaches, the USCP was able to deploy enough officers to stop the rioters from advancing past the base of the inauguration stage. More importantly, rioter momentum was further halted when the first group of MPD officers arrived on the scene at 1:11 p.m., almost precisely as President Trump finished his ellipse speech. The MPD officers initially pushed back the rioters on the West Plaza, slowing them down before they would later breach the Capitol. A stalemate ensued on the West Plaza before rioters were able to make any further progress. Rallygoers arriving from the ellipse provided crucial momentum. Episodes of Government Unfiltered are created based on the value for value model. I create the episodes, and you can decide what it's worth to you. If you prefer to listen through the full chapters rather than the individual chapters, supporters at patreon.com/timberlanemedia get exclusive access once they're completed. Thank you to associate producer Jay Bernhard and all of the insiders who provide support there. You can also support the effort at governmentunfiltered.com by clicking the support button for a one-time donation. And you can click the contact button and ask for an address if you'd prefer to mail a check. Follow the show on Twitter at GovUnfiltered or on Facebook at facebook.com/governmentunfiltered. Thank you for listening.